want to make note of our First Nations acknowledgement that appears on the top of every agenda. We don't read it all the time, but it's there and prevalent. So I'm going to wait 1 minute. I think we're good to go. If Clerk Tara no longer acting, it is Clerk Tara, you can get us into the meeting.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Loveland, that the meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich opens at 5:00 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the previous meeting. We will adopt those minutes. Clerk Tara, resolution, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich approves the draft minutes of the January 25th, 2023 meeting and the January 31st, 2023 special meeting forwarded to council members, and the mayor and the clerk are authorized to sign same. All in favor? And that's carried.
Is there anything, any items not listed on the agenda?
Did you see it? No, I put the camera off.
There are none.
Well, we can't see them. We're seeing her screen, I guess.
Any items not listed on the agenda?
There are none.
Number 5, the Public Works Department, the Manager of Roads and Facilities monthly report. Everyone had a look at it. Is there any questions? Seeing none, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Manager of Roads and Facilities titled Public Works Monthly Report for January 2023, dated February 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
6A, the Water Operations Manager monthly report. Any comments, questions from council? Seeing none, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drulard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Water Operations Manager titled Water Operations Report, January 2023, dated February 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
And the monthly safety meeting minutes for the Water Department. Any questions? No? Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the Water Department monthly safety meeting minutes dated February 2nd, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Number 7, the wastewater operator monthly report. Any comments? I have one. Month of January, we're at 89%. Weather report doesn't look good. Anyway, just a concern. Okay. Uh, Go ahead, Ken.
I know we're working on our EA for the plant, and one of these days that firm will get that to us. I wonder though if it wouldn't be wise for us to get some data on uh, how the high flow rates come in after storms. I know we can check each pumping station and see if we can get an idea of where all of that surface water is getting into. I know we've talked a bit about it for a while, but I think Archie can pull that off the SCADA. Maybe go back a couple years and give us an idea. I mean, if it's one pumping station that's way above the rest, then of an increase, then we can maybe work on that area.
Yeah, and I think tomorrow we're supposed to get a humongous storm, so I'd be a little worried about that capacity coming in tomorrow, so.
Just a question, I guess, Ken, you could probably answer this. We have SCADA recordings on individual pumping stations?
Yeah, it's my understanding, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Can we direct Archie to gather that information? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
We go back a couple of years, I think it'd be good. I don't think we need it daily, but maybe once, just kind of match the high flows and.
Do you have everything you need then, Tracy, to?
It would be nice if this information would tie into weather, like, it's hard to know what the weather was 2 years ago, but sure would be nice to tie into weather to the flows, right? But going forward, we can maybe ask him to chart that a little better, like, not better, but keep an eye on that kind
I
of
think
thing.
we know though, when we have the real high peaks, it's really wet weather. So
Yeah.
if we could get the high peaks and come see where they come from, might give us an idea if there's one area that's, and I realize in new subdivisions, sometimes you get quite a bit if you've got open basements and stuff, but, you know, that's still nice to see if we can have a look at that.
Okay, good discussion. Clerk Tara? Oh, sorry, Councilor
Sorry about
Goulart.
that. And just while we're collecting that data, I'm not sure whether that would assist us or give us information that might be, allow us to apply for that funding stream for the upgrades that I mentioned last time.
Any information is gonna help when you're applying for that kind of thing, so.
Absolutely.
Definitely,
So
yeah.
if it's not too cumbersome,
Mhm.
it might give us a little leg up here when we're applying.
Okay, Clerk Tara, resolution, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the wastewater operator titled Monthly Report, January 2023, dated February 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, number 8, our building department, monthly building activity report. Any questions from council? Seeing none, Clerk Tara?
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Drulard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Chief Building Official titled Building Activity Report, January 2023, dated February 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
And number 9, our fire chief monthly report. Anything from council?
I attended the meeting last night, and training for the new recruits is going well, and that's really all I've got to bring forward to you.
Okay, thank you. Colin's reports are always quite good. Yeah. Clerk Tara?
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Fire Chief titled Monthly Report, January 2023, dated February 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Clerk Tara?
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Drainage Superintendent titled Monthly Activity Report for January 2023, dated February 8th, 2023, for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, we cannot start. Is there anything else, Brent, on your agenda that we can deal with at this time?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have a petition to extend a branch on the Dutton School drain for you to receive and decide to proceed.
Okay, I guess we can go ahead with that. So that is 10D on the agenda. So it is 10D, the Dutton School drain, then we can proceed with. Okay, I'll just hand it over to you, Brent.
My report's before you, but basically we had a meeting to review the proposal of the engineer on that drain. And we had some local residents there, and when they saw what was proposed, they felt that they would like to have a branch to provide an outlet for their adjoining residential lands to the Agris lands, and that's where this petition has come from.
Okay. Any questions of council for Brent? I think it's pretty straightforward. Go ahead with the resolution. Tara?
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Drainage Superintendent titled Dutton School Drains Section 4 Petition for information, and that Council receives the Section 4 petition for a branch drain to be added to the Dutton School drain, and that Council appoints an engineer to complete the necessary reports as part of the current drainage project for the Dutton School drain, and that Council instructs the clerk to notify the petitioners, the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority, and the engineer of its decision to proceed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, we're still a little early, but before we get into the quarter revision, those in the audience here for any drains, there is a sign-in sheet at the table there. If you could please do that for us. Okay, thank you. We're still a little bit early, so we'll just hang on a minute or two. It's a legal matter. We have to follow the rules. We can? We got 2 minutes. If that's okay with council, I'm adjusting. Okay, we'll go to 16, and that is the recreation. There was a report. Any questions from council on that? Perhaps, Henry, you would like to comment on the progress you're making.
Yes, I'll just give you a brief update here. We're working as a committee hard on the COVID kindness event, which is going to take place March the 18th. So there's a lot of things planned and tying it in with the grant that was applied for. Working with the grant facilitator to make sure that we're accommodating the grant correctly. So I just wanted to make note of that, that we've taken that approach. So there's a lot of things happening. So you'll see it unfold more as we progress through the event. One other thing, I'll just make a comment. We decided as a committee, and it was on my recommendation, that we because we're busy with planning this event, it was decided to hold off on some of the programs for February in the community center. So the drop-in, so we're going to try to initiate that in April. And it had more to do with, planning for this event and getting everything ready and trying to get organized. And also we're doing a community survey, which is going to be, it's already been, we have hard copies, but it's going to be done online as well. So we want community input on which direction recreation, the community wants to go, and that's where, sorry. Oh, yes. The one other thing is there is a tree in the park, in the Sons of Scotland Park, that has to come down. It was recommended by Davy Tree Service. Part of this event is that we've actually entered into agreement with Carver Kings, and we'd like them to carve something into that tree stump, if it's good enough, that relates to COVID kindness. So that's the plan. So they've been working on a concept for that as well. So if that works out that way, that's what we can expect. So I don't know if we need council approval for that, but I don't think we do. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Drouillard.
Yeah, I just have one question. I was part of the initial applying for that grant, and there was supposed to be some nominations that was part of the application to nominate people in both Dutton Dunwich and West Elgin. And I haven't seen that. Perhaps I've missed it, but I think that was a significant portion of that grant application. So I'm just making sure that we're following the rules of the grant that we received.
Okay. Councillor Dreyfus.
Okay, I appreciate the comment. I'll definitely look into that because I wasn't aware of that part of the grant, but I will look into that for you. So,
Okay, thank you. Clerk Tara, resolution, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drouillard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Recreation and Administrative Assistant titled Monthly Report, February 2023, dated February 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, we are at the proper time for a quarter revision, so go ahead, Brent.
Through you and to the rest of council, because we received no appeals ahead of time in writing, John Spreet is not here tonight for the quarter revision, but Brandon Widner is here that he can answer any questions if there is any questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Clerk Tara, we got some housekeeping prior to going into quarter revision.
Yep, so I have two resolutions. Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the regular meeting end to sit as a court of revision for the Dude Ranch Hill Drain and Bennett Drain upper portion at 5:18 PM. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Drouillard, that the meeting of the Court of Revision for the Dude Ranch Hill Drain and Bennett Drain upper portion opens, at 5:18 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
You all set, Tara? We're good to go? Okay. This is the quarter revision as required by the Drainage Act to afford any person assessed in the Dude Ranch Hill Drain provisionally adopted by bylaw 2023-01 on January 11th, 2023, to make an appeal with respect to their assessments on the grounds of land or road has been assessed too high or too low, land or road should have been assessed but was not, due consideration has not been given to the land's use. I would ask that all landowners and interested parties present that are assessed to this drain, please sign in the attendance sheet. And everyone did that. Was everyone notified in an appropriate way that are required to be notified under the Drainage Act?
Yes, on Wednesday, January 18th, 2023, all parties required to be notified under Section 46 of the Drainage Act were sent by regular mail or email a copy of the provisional bylaw with a notice of the sitting of this Court of Revision. This notice also informed all landowners of the Drainage Act requirements to notify the clerk in writing of an appeal to the Court of Revision 10 days before the first sitting of the Court of Revision.
Did the clerk receive any appeals in writing 10 days prior to this sitting of this Court of Revision from any assessed landowners?
No.
Okay. Is there anything that the engineer or Brent wish to add at this time? Nothing? Okay. Any comments from council? Okay, I'm going to ask for a resolution to adopt the assessment schedule contained in the report, Dude Ranch Hill Drain.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Loveland, that the Court of Revision accepts the assessment for the Dude Ranch drain. All in favor? And that's carried.
There are some people here assessed on that drain, and I will welcome any comments you have at this time. I know Virginia's here.
That was years of the volume of water was really even like the volume, but it's what the volume comes. And it just makes logical sense, but how the downstream culvert, upstream right at the culvert, it's gonna create a lot more water flow, a lot more volume, and more erosion. Culvert will probably have to be replaced. And the cedar trees, concerned with cedar trees. See them destroy cedar trees, years old. Can't place to see the cedar trees. Concerns.
Whether Brent or Brendan want to comment?
I work with John Street, and I've worked a portion on this project. I know there was some difficulties with location due to the water main. There's a water main on this road which we have to cross. I know there's trees on this gentleman's property, but we are on the road side of the hydro poles for the vast majority of it. But I know there was some, and Brent will know as well, there is some water line. We're crossing it in a spot, you know, it is in, I believe, the shoulder of the road. It makes it very difficult. We have to stay, I believe, 2.5 meters away from it. It makes it kind of difficult for an alignment. To put it on the other side of the road, we would then have to essentially cross the road again and the water line. And there's costs to that as well.
Your concerns are noted, and we'll try to minimize any damage that's going to be there.
There's cost to take it to the down the street, like what's that extra cost?
Or we would have to cross back to the other side of the road.
What's that mean?
We'd have to cross the road once more and the water main again.
Twice.
Well, there's a number of crossings on this, but with the alignment chosen, we would then have to cross back over the water main. There's a water main on the north side of the road.
Yeah, he should have copies. So
Yeah. Just seems to cover that, it's all the water main, main you're putting in.
The drain and the water main. So the water main is located on the north side of the road, and it changes locations. It varies in location. So in your property, it's pretty well in the shoulder of the road. You get into Mr. Breen's property, the water main is further over. This is a large hill. It was probably pushed over in the bank. So on Mr. Good's property, we are between the water main and the hydro poles.
Okay. All right, thank you. That concludes that one. We can carry on with the Bennett drain. Clerk Tara, if we just carry on with the Bennett drain? Okay, thank you. This is the Court of Revision as required by the Drainage Act to afford any person assessed in the Bennett drain upper portion provisionally adopted by bylaw 2023-02 on January 11th, 2023. To make an appeal with respect to their assessments on the grounds of land or road has been assessed too high or too low, land or road should have been assessed but was not, due consideration has not been given to the land's use. I would ask that all landowners and interested parties or interested properties present that are assessed to this drain, please sign the attendance sheet that is on the tables at the back. Was everyone notified in an appropriate way that are required to be notified under the Drainage Act?
Yes, on Wednesday, January 18th, 2023, all parties required to be notified under Section 46 of the Drainage Act were sent by regular mail or email a copy of the provisional bylaw with a notice of the sitting of this Court of Revision. This notice also informed all landowners of the Drainage Act requirements to notify the clerk in writing of an appeal to the Court of Revision 10 days before the first sitting of the Court of Revision.
Did the clerk receive any appeals in writing 10 days prior to this sitting of this Court of Revision from any assessed landowners?
No.
Okay. Any comments from the engineer or Brent? No. Okay. Anything from council? Are you two involved in the Bennett drain?
No. Here for.
Okay. Tom, are you?
I just heard what you're saying.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I would ask for a resolution. Clerk Tara. To adopt the assessed schedule contained in the report. Duncan,
Found it.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Court of Revision accepts the assessment for the Bennett Drain upper portion. All in favor? And that's carried.
okay, we can carry on with the other one now.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Drewler, that the meeting of the Court of Revision for the due Ranch Hill Drain and Bennett Drain upper portion closes at 5:29 PM. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Loveland, seconded by Drulard, that the regular council meeting reconvenes at 5:29 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
I just noticed at the start of my script, when we start this meeting, I say the drain was submitted by John Spreet. It was submitted, Brandon Widner's the author. I didn't correct that on the sheet that you have.
Okay. Okay. Tara, are we okay to go when they consider the report?
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting to consider the engineer's report for the Pierce Drain opens at 5:30 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
This is the meeting to consider the report for the Pierce Drain dated January 5th, 2023, that was submitted to council by the engineer Brandon Widner of Spreet Associates. The purpose of this meeting is to allow the landowners and other affected parties to be given the opportunity to voice their concerns relating to any aspect of this report. I would ask that any affected parties present please make us aware of your attendance for the record. During this meeting, each owner in the area requiring drainage that signed a Drainage Act Section 4 petition shall be given the opportunity to withdraw their name by putting the request in writing, signing and filing the notice with the clerk. Any owner in the area requiring drainage who did not sign the petition shall be given the opportunity to do so. Matters dealing specifically with assessments, including where any land or road has been assessed too high or too low, any land or road that should have been assessed but has not been, or the land use was not duly considered, will be dealt with by the Court of Revision at a date to be determined after the passing of the provisional bylaw. Was everyone notified of this meeting to consider the report of the engineer in an appropriate way that were required to be notified under the Drainage Act?
Yes, on January 19th, 2023, all landowners and affected parties required to be notified under Section 42 of the Drainage Act were sent by regular mail notice of the date and time and location of this meeting. The notice included a copy of the report of the engineer for the Pierce Drain dated January 5th, 2023.
Thank you. I would ask that the engineer, Brandon Widner, present his report.
So good evening, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brandon Widner. I've worked at Spreets for a number of years, and I've worked with John and his father in some shape or form since 2007. So I know John did the reports here mainly, but our firm does different areas, and I've always worked, say, in Perth County. This project was sort of tied to an ash line bridge reconstruction. I believe that's what sort of hit this one off. We did receive a request from the landowner on the north side of the road. This is on Ash Line, just south of Wallacestown. They had some current concerns with the outlet of the existing drain. So there was an existing drain here called the Pierce Drain, which was submitted by our office in 1977. And it's a drain essentially that ran on the north side of Ash Line all the way up to Curry Road and drains a couple farms. So Mr. Coghill is very involved in this. The current outlet of the drain dumps into a ravine, which was backfilled a number of years ago with broken concrete. He indicated he wanted that outlet relocated. With Ash Line, there was a new storm sewer constructed up the side of it. The south side, we then crossed into essentially where Mr. Coghill's property is, and there is a newly installed 3x4 catch basin, which was all completed by municipality. So the proposal we have here today, we are going to redirect some of the drain. So Mr. Coghill's property, the front of it is forested with some walnut trees and some pine trees. The intention here is to run the new drain up essentially the road ditch. It will then come across his easterly driveway and we will reconnect into the old drain. So this new drain will be designed to 1.5 inch design coefficient. That is less than the capacity of the storm sewer, and it is more of the capacity than the existing drain. So it also takes it out of his yard. He does get some benefit out of that. The whole project is 142 meters long. There is one catch basin, and it's all 18-inch HDPE pipe. Total cost of the project is approximately $46,000. The assessments are all shown on Schedule C. And the cost estimate is broke down on Schedule B. So the owners were mainly present at the last meeting, and I believe it was just before Christmas. I believe we were just missing, well, we only had half. We had the Coggills and Hansons. But I believe Brent reached out to Little John's, and then the report was issued. This was the first report issued this year. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you for that report. Council, any questions or concerns on this one? I see none. No landowners here present, so. So we're ready for the resolution to adopt bylaw 2023-10. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich will provisionally adopt bylaw 2023-10 during this meeting. All in favor? And that's carried.
The clerk will be mailing a copy of bylaw 2023-10 provisionally passed tonight to all landowners and affected parties as required by Section 46 of the Drainage Act. The Court of Revision for the Pierce Drain will be held on March 8th, 2023 at approximately 5:15 p.m. The owner of land assessed for the drainage works may appeal to the Court of Revision on any of the following grounds: any land or road that has been assessed an amount that is too high or too low, any land or road that should have been assessed has not been assessed, due consideration has not been given to the use being made of the land. By written notice setting out the grounds of the appeal at least 10 days before the first sitting of the Court of Revision to the clerk of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich. And further, under Section 48 of the Drainage Act, any owner of land or any public utility affected by a drainage works may appeal to the tribunal on other aspects of this drainage works, and in every case, a notice of appeal shall be served within 40 days of the mailing of the provisional bylaw with the clerk of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich. A fact sheet titled Drainage Act Appeals. The forms required to file an appeal with regards to this drain are available on the OMAFRA website and upon request at the municipal office. If you have any questions regarding this drain or any other municipal drain in the municipality of Dutton Dunwich, please contact our drainage superintendent, Brent Clutterbuck, at the municipal office. Okay, and that concludes that.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Drewler, that the meeting to consider the engineer's report for the Pierce Drain closes at 5:37 p.m. and the regular meeting reconvenes. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you, Brent and Brandon, and thanks for your patience with our Dude Ranch Hill Drain residents that were here.
Can I just speak to something very
Yep.
quickly? I think it would be very helpful as a council member to have the report in front of me for both Court of Revisions and for consideration of reports. I understand they're long and they're hard to add them onto the agendas, but to me, it makes sense that we have extra copies here. So if Brent had them in his file, could bring a few along, it may help us look a little more intelligent when this question's asked.
Okay, so to be clear, then you're asking that a paper copy for each member of council? Be present?
Yeah, I don't know if we need it to keep them, but just if we're doing a quarter revision or consideration of the report, they're available, and then we can have them. I understand they're so cumbersome. We have them, but they're 2 meetings ago, and it's hard to jump back and forth on the agenda. So if we could do that, then it would, I think, make us follow along a little better.
Okay, no, that's fine. We'll make sure when going forward that when we get copies of the report from Spreet, we'll get a paper copy for each counselor. It was the wish of the last council was to not have the paper copies, but that's your decision, so.
Yeah, I don't know if we need, like, if we had 3 or 4 here, that'd be fine. I don't think we need to keep them. Just if you had some extra copies in the file, you could bring them along when we do that.
Okay, will do.
We do get them when the reports come. It's just that it's hard to go back and dig them up during the meeting if there's any questions. We might not even need them sometimes, but it'd be nice to have them available if, so if it could work.
And the other thing that can be, if we're continuing to meet virtually, we could possibly put the plan on the big screen as well.
Yeah, either one would work. At least we'd have something to look at to kind of follow along.
We'll have paper copies for the peers there in the quarter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think our drainage is all looked after. Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Brandon. Number 11, the Planning Department. I see Tracy has joined us. It's a request for heritage designation of 27401 Celtic Line by Annie Isabel and Robert Duncan Tate. I'll just hand it over to our planner, Tracy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So this is the new council's first opportunity to designate property under the Ontario Heritage Act. So council ultimately has the approval authority. The Heritage Committee just makes recommendations to you. And this particular property is 40 hectares and it includes 2 residential dwellings and 4 accessory structures. Now, only 1 residential dwelling is being considered for the designation, but it applies to the entire property. And that one particular dwelling is the one closest to Talbot Line, yes, is it Talbot Line or Celtic Line? Might be an error in my report, sorry. And it's a 2-story structure with a combination of 2 architectural styles from different centuries. It is a building that has the original classic revival, and then there were some additions added around 1930. So the process to designate property is that it has to meet currently one of 3 heritage values. In the new Heritage Act, it'll need to be 2 of 3. So the Heritage Committee actually has been proactive and has identified 2 of the 3 heritage values. In my report is the Heritage Committee's assessment, which goes into a lot of detail of exactly what's being considered for the designation. So then the next step for council is to authorize staff to proceed with the designation. And what happens is we put notice of intent to designate in the local newspaper. We notify the property owner and we send it to the Ontario Heritage Trust. And there's a 30-day period that we need to wait. And if there are no appeals, then I will bring back a bylaw for council to consider. And the bylaw will have the outline of exactly the details of the designation. If by any chance there is an appeal, that appeal will go to the Ontario Land Tribunal. It used to be the Conservation Review Board, but that was removed as part of some legislative changes. So everything goes to the one tribunal, and what they do is they hear the appeal. We do have in this case the owner's permission, which was added to the report as well. That is something new under the Ontario Heritage Act. And as a side note, I wanted to let council know under the new bill 23, all of the listed properties on your heritage register will expire in 2 years. So you may actually see a lot more of these designations coming forward by the Heritage Committee because they're going to need to try to designate as many or ask council to remove some off the list, and then you have to wait 5 years before you can bring it back onto the registry. The Heritage Committee is planning an open house in the near future so that they can reach out to those. There's actually about 80 properties on that heritage registry that are currently just listed. They're going to have an open house to see who's most interested in designation and try to prioritize their work that way. So just sort of wanted to let council know that you might be seeing a lot more of these applications. So the recommendation before you is that you receive my report and that you give us a staff direction to go ahead and put in council's intent to designate into the newspaper, the property owner, and the Ontario Heritage Trust. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any question from council? I don't see any here, Tracy. Just a comment, and I haven't attended the meetings in a couple of months. Is there a date on the, because of Bill 23 and clearing off our registry?
Sorry, is there a date for the open house or a date for the expiry?
Yeah, I'm wondering about when we have to remove all of the houses and buildings off our registry. Is there a hard date on that?
Yes, so the date was effective January 1st. So they are all going to expire in 2 years from now on January 1st. Unless council chooses to remove them now, then you could bring them back in 5 years. So that would save you a couple years. If not, you just wait for the 2 years, they expire automatically, and then you have to wait another 5 years. So there's some, that's why the Heritage Committee wants to do this open house in order to find out of the 80 who's willing to be designated now, so they can just work on those in the next 2 years as priority, and then let the rest expire immediately, and then get started on those in the 5 years time when they can be brought back.
Okay, I guess we'll wait for the committee's recommendation on how to handle that. Any comments, Councillor Dreyfus, on that?
Just a quick comment. I know that there's no way we can do large amounts. It's not possible. And I think that was our discussion at our last meeting. So I think we're targeting, correct me if I'm wrong, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 or 5 a year. So that would be very realistic, and that might even be a stretch as well. So yeah, just throw that comment out there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Resolution, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the planner titled Request for Heritage Designation of 27401 Celtic Line by Annie Isabel and Robert Duncan Tate, dated February 8th, 2023 for information, and that notice be given under the provisions of Section 29 of the Ontario Heritage Act, RSO 1990 CO 18 of Municipal Council's intent to designate. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay. We're on to number 13, correspondence. The City of Brantford via rail cancellations. Do you want to read the resolution on that, Clerk Tara?
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution from the City of Brantford requesting that the Government of Canada resumes, in good faith, investigations into opportunities to enhance passenger rail services in southwestern Ontario and for Via Rail to reinstate line number 82 immediately, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the City of Brantford.
Is there any discussion after hearing that resolution? I don't see any, so we can call a question.
All in favor? And that's carried.
B, Paul Daniels car show request. Let's go ahead with that resolution as well, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the Dutton Cruise-In Events road closure on Curry Road from Shackleton Street to Mary Street from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on May 31st, June 28th, July 26th, August 30th, and September 27th, 2023, and that council approves the use of the municipal office for washrooms during the events, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the County of Elgin General Manager of Engineering, Planning, and Enterprise, Deputy CAO Brian Lima, and the requester Paul Daniels.
Any questions or, yep, Councillor Pemberton.
Yeah, in his letter, he's asking to use parking on the railway property. That I don't think offer that, can we?
Yeah, Deputy Mayor Loveland, I think, is talking to Paul on that.
Yeah, I talked to Paul about that and I had a discussion with Brent Clutterbuck at the open house for the budget. And Brent had some pretty good contacts with CSX that are working well. So he did contact him and he did send an email back to Brent saying that for a one-off, they wouldn't have a problem. If we were going to do several a year, they might want us to enter into an agreement. So I think that's probably a wise thing to do, maybe, and we would just say for special occasions. So I think we should proceed with that and work on it. So.
Anything else from council? I know Paul has already spoken directly with Brian Lima at County, and Brian told him to talk to this group here. So no further discussion on this. Everybody remember the question? Okay, call the vote. It is, yeah. Go ahead, Clerk Tara.
All right, all in favor? And that's carried.
The consent agenda, let's do it. Well, I guess we got to do it all. Is there anything that anybody wants to pull out of that and discuss? It's quite a list. Go ahead, Councillor Goulard.
Just one question, and it's really for Clerk Tara. The school board elections administered by municipalities, do you have any concerns there? And is that a significant cost to the municipality? Or should we be supporting this and asking the school and to the school board to help us out?
So this is more directed to those municipalities that are actually administering it, whereas like we don't have to receive the applications and contact all the municipalities and say who your candidates are for the school boards. The only cost that we would potentially see is that we have to have extra ballots. If we went to electronic, it wouldn't really affect us as much. But with the ballots, you now, instead of just having a Ward 1 ballot and a Ward 2 ballot with the mayor and the councilors, we would have 4 different ballots for each ward because of the English public, English separate, French public, French separate, and actually so 5 each because there's no school support as well.
Anything further?
No,
Go ahead.
thank you, Tara. I just wanted to support you however I could, so thanks.
Anything further from council? Seeing nothing, resolution, please, Clerk Tara.
All right, I have 2 for you guys. Moved by Loveland, seconded by Droulard, that relevant correspondence was reviewed. All in favor? And that's carried. And then
Okay,
one more, sorry, Mayor Hens. Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that the items on the consent agenda be approved. All in favor? And that's carried.
thank you. Number 16, we do not have an acting CAO treasurer's report anymore. Or, sorry, acting clerk's report. That was included in consent. Yeah. 15 is the clerk's report, and it's a bylaw enforcement report. Clerk Tara.
So it's a very short report. There's a lot of information I'm not able to give you guys because it is confidential, but I can let you know that we do have 2 ongoing property standards cases that we're working with the property owners. They are showing improvement, so we continue to work with them. Any questions from council?
Deputy Mayor Loveland, did you have any concerns with that?
No, I'm glad to see your report on these bylaw enforcement issues. I guess if, and I realize some of them are not stuff we can release, so I wouldn't be opposed to seeing this report in closed session if it could be outlined a bit, but we can talk about that later.
We've all seen our new bylaw enforcement out and about, and I guess I just wanted to, and I had a question to Tara. Are they doing their job? Are we getting our money's worth? Are they effective? And the answer has been yes. So if we want to go further into what they're actually doing, it is a closed report. Whether, and I think we could kind of leave that, maybe if the clerk thinks there's something we need to know, would that be the best way to handle that?
Yes, we can do it that way because additionally under MFIPA, I can't really release that information to you guys because it's not something that the public has access to without making those MFIPA requests. I can give you some detail, but not much more than what you would be getting in the open session.
Everybody okay with that? Okay. We're on a need to know basis and we don't need to know. So there's a resolution for that item. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the clerk titled Bylaw Enforcement Report, January 2023, dated February 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
And we have our CEO Treasurer Report. I'll hand that over to Tracy.
Thank you, Mayor Hens. This is just kind of a report of an overview of kind of what I was doing throughout the month. I just kind of did it to see what kind of outline you guys are looking for, if this is what you're looking for, if there's more. But it just kind of outlines the stuff I'm doing treasury wise and CAO wise. So if there's any questions?
Not specific questions, but I'm just going to raise the based from our minutes, in the Black Line Consulting report that we received, there were recommendations made to staff and council up for working towards improvements. So I'm just wondering if we could, in your reports, identify some of the specific things that you're working on, such as, I know one of the things was technology or cross-training employees.
Yeah,
Specifically,
yeah.
I'm just wondering if we could see that in our report so that we can see that we're kind of adhering or not, or we're working towards improvements. And are you sensing improvements? That's, I think that's what my curiosity is, because I don't know what we paid for the report, but I'm sure it was substantial. And at the end of the day, I'd like to see our dollar be put to good use. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But nothing can happen from that report until the 2023 budget is set, because like I said in the memo I sent you guys, a lot of that stuff that we were talking about or planning is in that budget, so it's going to have to be approved. But yeah, definitely I can, yeah, so we can outline it for sure when we start. Right now, I can be honest, I don't have enough staff to cross-train anybody. So it's going to be a matter of getting the right people in the right position to. So.
If I could add to that, the report, and we're well on our way, and I think we all agree that the first step in that report was getting our CAO treasurer, getting our clerk in the right chairs or taking the acting away. I shared Corey's reporting structure that he so eloquently put together on the last meeting with both Tara and Tracy, and that work is in progress. And I know they're giving a lot of thought to that, and there's some other things. So I guess from my perspective, it's a work in progress, and we're well on our way. At least I feel that way anyway. And we need to keep all of council updated on that. Go ahead, Councillor Goulard.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I don't think anyone's looking for this gigantic thing happening right away. I just think keeping us informed and keeping working and making sure that we're supporting staff as council that as we can. And if you're needing something or whatever, then, I mean, clearly we can't give everything that's asked, but we're trying to support you and find out if we're actually heading in the direction that we set. So, thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything else? Go ahead.
We have reports back on the agenda a little later on, so we could catch it then if you want. But I appreciate this report. I think it's a step in the right direction. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Dr. Tara.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report from the CAO Treasurer titled Activity Report for the CAO Treasurer January 2023, dated February 8th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, we have a couple of policies to deal with. These are, pull it up here. An on-call and call-in policy and procedure. Is there any discussion on that? Everybody had a chance to read it? Councillor Pemberton?
Just a comment, a general comment. These look like they're being updated policies. They look like they're existing policies. When we're doing these, if it's possible, if they would highlight the changes, so we can kind of go, okay, these are the specific changes. I mean, it alludes to what that is in the report, kind of, for the most part, but in some cases, it'd be easier to identify, yep, this is the specific change if the change was highlighted, so we actually understood what the change was.
Yeah, for this specific one, it is just the one in the report. That's the only change. It's been that rates for over 10 years. Yeah, but I was just gonna, for you, for clarification for this one, yeah, it is just that change. And, they were grumblings that they wanted the same as, surrounding municipalities, but we kind of went in the middle. So, yeah.
Roulard.
And I just asked Counselor Dreyfus, but I just wanted to be clear. This will reflect in the budget, but it doesn't need to be held off until it becomes a budget item. I know it's
just
not
the
a huge
standard, yeah,
amount.
yeah,
but-
yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So I guess as Kate prepares these, she could make a note of that to. Okay, Clerk Tara, resolution, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Drouillard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Executive Assistant titled On Call and Call-In Policy and Procedure dated February 8th, 2023 for information, and that council approves the on-call and call-in policy and procedure amended to include a reference to the employment standard, and that as per this policy and after consultation with the treasurer, council approves the recommended on-call compensation rate be increased from $150 to $200. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, B is our sick leave policy. Everyone has had a chance to review that. Is there any questions or concerns on that policy?
Did you want some clarification on that, Councilor Pembroke?
Yeah, I'd just like to understand what was.
Yeah, this came about, actually talking to West Elgin and some of our staff. It's just more to clarify what your sick days can be used for and to go along with the provincial standards where you are allowed like the personal days. And so it just spells it out a little better for staff that they know that if it's a scheduled doctor's appointment, you can use sick time, or if it's emergency, you can use certain days for emergency when you don't have anyone to watch your kids. So it was more getting the wording right so staff understood what they could use their days for, so.
Thank you.
Anything else on that policy?
Is the permanent employee eligible for 15 days? Is that standard with the Employment Act?
We
Okay.
give 15 because we don't have short-term disability.
Okay.
So it's to kind of help you get to long-term disability, so.
Everything? We're okay with that?
For question, I'm just gonna responsibilities. So you have the right to ask for a doctor's note after 3 days. Is that was that standard policy for you all the time? Okay. Is that, I know Councillor Drouillard had questions about that, so are you comfortable with that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I did question Kate on that because I didn't think you could ask for doctor's notes anymore, but I wasn't positive. She was
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that the
Yeah.
employer is responsible to pay for them. I know that unless it becomes a short term, which my employer has, or long term, they're not allowed to request any doctor's note, and no information about what the illness is can be provided. But I just want to make sure that we're inside the rules, and I'm sure, yeah.
I will
Um,
double check with her again, yeah, for
And,
sure.
and
Yep.
I believe you're right that the employer would have to pay for that requested note, not the employee. So we might.
We're consistent with other municipalities on our policy? Don't know. Okay. Okay.
Well, that would depend on the union agreement.
Yeah.
We're not unionized, so
Yeah.
I think that's a difference, right? So, but I think you can, and I'm not up to speed on it all, but I do believe you can set the standard through your policy yourself, as long as you're within the guidelines of the act, right? So you can ask for a doctor's note and you can make the employee pay for it. So you don't have to, it's at the discretion of your policy. So however you choose to manage that, I'm fine with that. So, yeah.
I'll just do some double checking with Kate just to make sure we're.
Okay, everybody's good? Okay, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drewlard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Executive Assistant titled Sick Leave Policy dated February 8th, 2023 for information, and that Council approves the amended AW 19-2019 Sick Leave Policy. All in favor? And that's carried.
I'd ask for council's desire to take a break at now, or we've been at it a little over an hour. We could go on a little bit further then. Okay. Everybody good with that? Okay. 18, unfinished business. Nothing? New business, and that's reports to council from staff. And I think this is a discussion that came from last council meeting. And I believe Deputy Mayor Loveland, you wanted to comment on that?
Yeah, I can start the comments, I guess, and I appreciate that there's already some changes made and it puts us in a little better understanding of what's going on. So I guess my thoughts are, I would like to see a personnel report that would be filed in closed session, not every month necessarily, but maybe every couple of months, that outlines any problems staff have, any training that's given to staff. Just so, I mean, we're responsible for water as an example. It's nice to know that those our staff is getting trained. And again, I don't think we need to see that every month, but maybe a couple months or maybe every 3 months. I don't know. It depends how, maybe we try it for a while and see how often we get. I'd like to see a report from the planner as well. I mean, she gives us lots of reports when something comes up, but we don't know what's going on with some of the other things there. So, yeah, just a short report. And I'd like to, of course, I talked about this 2 or 3 times. Murray's report is the one that really, in my opinion, needs to be expanded quite a bit. You know, it's a big department he's operating, and we get a 3/4 of a pager, which really doesn't tell us a whole lot. So I would like to see that expanded. I think one of the things that I'd like to see on his report especially, and maybe some of the others as well, is items that are unresolved from the previous report. And I'll use as an example the lights on the lights on the highway. I mean, we talked about it once, all assumed that they were fixed, but 8 months later, we get calls that they're not fixed. So if that was on the report that we're still waiting for approval, then we can defend why Murray hasn't done that. I think it would help a lot. So,
It might almost be an opportunity to redesign the reports then, maybe like, kind of like the agenda, like unfinished business, and then
Yeah.
there could just be, it's still on there, you know, it hasn't been resolved kind of thing, or.
Yeah, and I think it gives staff a real opportunity to go, hey, you know what, that's been carrying over, but we're still not, they can give you an update by saying, still waiting, have sent another email to MTO because we're waiting for their approval to, just that specific item, but you know, I think it gives staff an opportunity to give information, and you just think, okay, I've given an update, but then it kind of gets low on your burner, but if you keep it there, it allows, if somebody asks me a question, yeah, it's still on their burner, like I can see it there, and we're seeing it in the report, and when people ask us questions, it allows, and it might allows us to give an answer that's suitable. And it might reduce the amount of phone calls you get, like, why isn't it done yet? Well, it's because sometimes we get the first calls or the first emails or the first text.
Yes.
So if we can help you out, that might help staff as well.
Councillor Pemberton, go ahead.
I've seen it before where we do basically just a quick little chart, writing a report. So you could have capital projects 2023 and you just kind of list your capital projects and where they are, whether you're waiting for quotes, whether it's finished, whether it's in progress, just something real quick and simple, like I don't know how much, if you want to go, you can go into more detail in that chart, but it's nice, quick, easy chart that they can update on a monthly basis fairly easily on the monthly report.
It really sounds like a spreadsheet.
Yeah, it really kind of is.
Maybe that's not everybody's forte, but if there's some training needed, then.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to the.
Then you can let us know that.
That's similar to the capital update sheet I bring and I put
Right.
notes of where it's at, but I think that is lacking on their monthly reports is any capital. I think they just do their operating and something that could be, yeah.
And that's good information for the public too, because then they're aware. I mean, there are people who actually do read what you post, so it's good information for them as well.
I believe Tim always mentions how far he is with his meter replacement,
Yeah.
does he not? Yeah, so,
Tim report pretty good.
yeah.
And I guess the other thing, just thinking about it, I'd like to see when Murray does say his gravel tenders, it'd be nice to know what roads he's planning and where it's going. I'm sure he's got a map somewhere. He just doesn't, we just don't see it, so.
Go ahead,
I can build a template for council and then send it to you by email, and maybe it'll have just different headers, and then you guys can let us know if that suits what you're looking for from staff. Then that way we don't bring more reports next meeting and then you guys go, well, that's not what we wanted, so.
Yeah, and I think the idea is that we make it simple. Nobody's looking for pages and pages. They're just looking for a constant update. That's my feeling. I don't want to speak for everyone else.
And we don't want to have it a make work project. We know you're extremely busy, everybody is. So something that's workable, and we know Murray's not a paper person or very good at that kind of stuff. So there may be some coaching along that. And we do get calls, and I know the 401 lights, and there's a legitimate reason. They're waiting for parts or something like that. But if we don't know that, then we keep making excuses that we don't like to make. Okay. Good discussion. Everybody's okay.
Tara's right. She can bring a back and look at it. We should make the changes we want once instead of 14 times.
We don't have to wait till the next meeting. We'll just. Okay, thank you.
Just one last thing, and I think Tara doing that means that if somebody gave somebody else the information, and everyone's using the same template, that would mean that somebody could actually plug in somebody else's information, wherever it is. Hey, I've got it there. Can you just, right? If they've got a minute. I mean, I know there's not a lot of minutes there's only so many minutes in the day, but sometimes you're able to help each other out that way too, if you're all doing exactly the same template.
Any announcements? Seeing none, I think it's a good opportunity to take a break. We're ready for closed. Is there an announcement over there? Do you want to just wait to go into closed? Okay, good idea.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Drewler, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich now moves into a session of the meeting that shall be closed to the public at 6:18 PM in accordance with section 2392 of the Municipal Act, SO 2001, chapter 25, for discussion of the following matters. Personal matter about an identifiable individual, section 2392B of the Municipal Act. Labor relations or employee negotiations, section 2392D of the Municipal Act. Records management. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, we're going to take a break. Okay, just bylaws, I believe. Computer problems?
All right, sorry about that. So moved by Drulard, seconded by Loveland, that bylaw 2023-09, being a bylaw to delegate authority for administrative matters to municipal staff, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that bylaw 2023-10, being a bylaw to borrow on the credit of the corporation in the amount of $46,000 for the Pierce drain, be read a first, second, and third, or first and second time and provisionally adopted, and that a court of revision for the Pierce drain be held at the March 8th, 2023 meeting at approximately 5:15 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drulard, that bylaw 2023-11, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipal council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Is everybody available next Wednesday night to do a budget meeting? We're gonna go line by line, so get ready. No. We could start at 4 if that's better for everybody, or do you want to leave it at 5? Oh, is there? Is 4 too early for you? Like, I know you, 3:45 is the earliest, right? Like, is 4 too early or? Well, I don't know how long we'll go, but I thought if we start at 4, we can, like, will want to have Murray. We're gonna want to have Murray here and Tim and, to do the capital first, I'm assuming, get the guys. Well, we could do 4. Do you want to do 4? It doesn't matter to me. I just thought if we did it earlier, like,
Henry wants to be a little later.
Time down.
4:30 would probably be better, but I could sneak out of the. Oh, 5, we don't know. No,
If we could try and get a little earlier, because it could be a long one. So
I'm okay for 4. I'll just duck out early then.
I'll do my best.
It's scheduled for here, I believe. Yeah, it should be.
I'll do my best to get here because if something happens at the end of the day, like sometimes it's 4:15 before I even get out of it. So I'll do my best.
can you just send somebody a quick note then if you're running late or something and that day?
Yeah, generally if I'm there late, it's not a quick note thing that's happening. Just letting you know.
Okay.
It's not an event that I can, so I don't wanna say I'll be here, then.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I appreciate that it's a little later, but.
I'm okay either way. It's just that I have to leave.
4:30 it is. And we may need a break or two on that one. Oh.
49.
And we have our next meeting, February 22nd and March 8th. Anything further? Hearing nothing? The one we're waiting for, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drewlard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the meeting of the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich closes at 7:29 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay. For sure. Yep.